internet is not working properly at the church, so I thought instead I'd just show you what we've managed to do so far and explain what's happening. So there's a panoramic view of the garden so far. Let's go around as before, and hopefully you'll see some considerable changes. There's the church next door, St. Luke and St. Martin, and the garden fence is still slightly tottering over. But over here, you might remember, there was the most enormous amount of blackberry bushes growing right up into the very top of this tree, and right up into this tree. In fact, where those bare branches are is where the blackberries stopped growing, and then the blackberries themselves pushed over the fence here. But now, pretty well cleared. This beautiful green bush here is a forsythia, which was discovered the entirety of this area here, all of that. You can still see there are bits of it that are popping up that I'm slowly dealing with and getting rid of. So, yeah, it was a major undertaking getting rid of that, and we're now going to keep it fairly well trimmed. The pears produced a few pears, and you might just be able to see the odd one or two. I can see a couple still up there, which were as hard as rock and not worthy of being eaten. There are a few on the floor. Might try some of those, see if they're any good. And then round here we've got one golden delicious. Most of the apples are on the floor. They were golden, but they were not really delicious. Golden, rather not very nice. And in the distance over there, over here, you can see we've had quite a number of raspberries, and we're getting quite a number of berries from the bushes that are against the fence over there. And I can see we've got four nice big juicy Bramley apples, and hopefully next year we'll get some gooseberries, raspberries, more apples, black currants and other things over there as well. I'm thinking I might plant, going up this tree here, something like a wisteria, which I think would look magnificent, and bring another whole dimension to that tree. So there we go. This patch that we're currently standing in, at least I am, well, because here is Prankster, and Pranky doesn't know that today is the day that he's going off to the vet to have his injections. Hey Puss, do you know that? No? I don't think you're going to enjoy that very much. You'll be carried in your basket all the way there, huh? Is that not going to be a very nice experience for you? Oh, you poor Puss, what a poor boy. But this area here is going to be really, I guess you call it a wild garden, really naturalistic garden, not completely wild. So we're not just going to leave it to do its own thing. Roughly in this area here, there'll be a pond somewhere there, with shallow and deep parts to it, allow different types of things to grow in it, lots of bulrushes and other stuff, native plants in there to keep that going nicely. And then around the rest of it there'll be a bank somewhere over here to sit on, a grassy bank, and more trees and more sort of native hedge running along here to about there, I guess, where that tree is. And that'll encourage wildlife and nesting birds and so on. Give a bit of privacy from the church, though we don't really need it, but it's nice to have a bit of quietness. Encourage more bird song. I don't know if you can hear, but there's quite a lot of bird song at the moment. I can hear a robin. In a deep distance I can hear a blackbird. And that's about it, I think, at the moment. Anyway, encourage more different types of bird around. Over here, this is where we're doing the washing up. Not the washing up, the washing. So the famous clothesline. And behind there is where Brother Matthew has his clinic. And the garage, of course, over there. And I think I can see Brother Matthew waving at us even now. Let's go and look through the window and see if we can see him. There he is. Can you wave at everybody? God bless you, Matthew. Now, the main thing we've been doing is over here so far. I'm just going to go into the middle and try not to trip over everything, and look down. It was going to be the centerpiece of the garden. I think you can see really what it's like. Basically, though I didn't really intend to do this, it's a sort of typical Afghan garden with a pond in the middle, which you can see, a sort of proper entrance, and at the other end there should be some sort of pavilion or something or other we can sit in, the other side of the apple trees. Probably put a nice icon of the Lord in there. You won't be able to see at the moment, but there are bay trees, 6 on either side, so the 12 apostles, leading up towards the trees in the middle of there. And on the other side, where the pavilion will go eventually, there'll be an icon of the Lord the Good Shepherd, and they will lead, as it were, towards that. You won't be able to see either, because it is actually deliberately obscure, that these flower beds slightly bend inwards. So the grassy patch at the end is narrower than the grassy patch at the beginning. And that's to make it look longer and thinner, to sort of draw your eye towards the Lord. And the evergreen plants also slope inwards so that they will eventually point at the icon of the Lord. In the middle there, we've got a pond. Well, I'm not quite standing in the middle here. There you go, that's a bit better. I'll give you a better idea of the symmetry. The grass there eventually will be filled with all sorts of spring flowers that will grow up and then be cut down sometime in June. And then be a lawn for the rest of the time, pavilions and other things around about. Okay? Probably we'll put some sort of Pristina or something over there and another one over there. And somewhere in this sort of direction over here, there needs to be a greenhouse or polytunnel or something like that. I think that's going to look quite nice. These pots here are planted with, very simply planted, with violas, so pansies, 3 in each pot, and then underplanted with quite a pretty miniature double daffodil that has a sort of spray like a sunburst of yellow flowers. In the beds are planted quite a large number of daffodils already, and gradually more and more spring flowers will go in there. Over this area here, it'll be planted with naturalistic tulips and small daffodils. I can't get the wild ones, and also with bluebells, wild bluebells and that sort of stuff. There is a clump of Spanish bluebells over there, so when they start growing up I need to dig those up and transplant them elsewhere. You can see how far I've got. So this bed is a long way from being complete, but at least you can see where it's going to be, and it will spread further in that direction in time. This side over here, you can see how far I've got. So not as far. One of my favorite plants here. It's called Hot Lips, and you can see why. Da, da, da. Isn't that nice? I love that little plant. You can see one of the little bays. They will be one of the 12 apostles. Then this side. This is going to be, I think, quite an exciting part eventually. Not sure what to do about this pathway. Really, it could do with being broken up. You can see the dramatic difference here is that those large forest trees have gone, which then opens up the eye to the big, beautiful oaks and birches and Scots pines and all sorts of other, and field maples and stuff behind. So continue our view over there. So this patch of fence here needs to be hidden. There is a grape growing here, black Hamburg, I think, Hamburg, and some of these other plants here will come out and they'll come much further forward. So this is going to be fairly dense planting, and there'll be a sort of wiggly path going through it, with little places where you can sort of stop and sit and enjoy yourself. I should have said about the pond over there that it's going to be there'll be 18 inches or so above the ground. The water will be 18 inches or so above the ground as well there. So we'll have a little wooden wall built around it, and use the same timbers. We can make little perching seats too. So if you wonder what happened to the big trees, a lot of the timber went off to be burnt by some of the people who cut them down, and then these are all the twigs and leaves and stuff that came off those trees, which will be used as a mulch, of course, later on. You can see here the poor old grapevine is looking very wintry now, but that'll survive and it'll grow properly next year. It needs to be properly tied in, of course. We rather teased ourselves by saying it looked like the 3 pyramids in Giza. A great big pile of grass, a great big pile of ivy, and the twigs, of course. And then in the back, all that area there will be like a forest garden. So permaculture. This patch of things here will be taken up at some point and reused as little seating areas in other places. Just sort of 6 or 8 of those slabs just give somewhere to perch. So that probably, all of that will be a nice winter job, to do all of those things. My next job, really, after I've finished this bed and begin to make a nice curved thing here, and begin to bring some of these shrubs are actually quite nice. Not all of them. I think 2 or 3 of them are okay. The others will be exterminated. And they'll come back into here and provide something of the mysterious little wiggly garden going through here. And then there'll be other things, like you can see there are a couple of palm trees down there, a nice Fatsia japonica, and in the front there's some bananas that will need to be overwintered, and various other beautiful things that need to be brought from there into here. So they were planted there, but I've changed my mind about the front garden completely as time has gone on. It's good to plant them because they survive better in the ground, but before very long they were going to be dug up and relocated. Lucky all them. Is that it? I think that's all I can tell you. Oh yeah, the apple trees, you can see for yourself, need a great deal of work. They're terribly overgrown and under-pruned. At night time I quite like the fact we've got these little fairy lights that on a sunny day, well, even today, they'll come on until about 10 o'clock at night, and from my room I think they look great, but then I have absolutely no taste. Here we've got a mini pond. I'll show you, and that's full of stuff out of one of the local bodies of water. So looking into it, I can see some snails, a little pond skimmer, water birchman we used to call those. Whereas I can see 2 or 3 different types of snail. Yeah, so that's good. So some of that will make the basis of the new wildlife pond. There you are, there's a lesser diving beetle in there. They find their way into even the smallest patch of water without any trouble at all, and it's depth rather than width that's important to them. Yeah, it's quite astonishing really how these things survive. There's a black ant going to getting water there. Surprised that really they're still around. Usually they begin to hibernate round about now. In the corner you can see there's still a beehive. That needs to be taken away and packed away for the winter. There were very few bees this year. I was expecting we might get a swarm, but no swarm came. So if we leave them out like that, we'll just get full of moth, and the mice will come along and eat the wax, so it's not worth leaving out. But you can see here that there is a monumental amount of work to do. But if you consider that there is a pile of trees up to about here, and branches, and the same in the middle of the lawn over there, huge pile, then maybe you'll forgive me and suggest I've not been quite as lazy as I look. Bring you with this, look at that, isn't that beautiful? Lovely colours. I like the colour of the twigs on there too, so pretty. If I cut that right the way down and transfer it, next year those colours will be absolutely ravishing. This is a blackberry that we need to cut out all the fruiting branches that are already fruited. Looks to me as if we've got maybe one more picking on there, and then tie in properly all the new ones. Here we've got a Victoria plum. It was given to me by Jordanka and Velika and their family. Very kind of them. And over here we've got the remains of the mint, and gooseberry, another gooseberry, an apple that's just about hanging on, had virtually no roots unfortunately, and here we've got, we need to go and deal with some of these lords and ladies. This blackcurrant will probably fruit next year. You can see the apples. Okay, so if there's a certain lady in Shropshire looking, this is your tree. Yours got eaten by the cattle. What do you think of that apple then, Paula? It's pretty good, isn't it? And I think we'll probably pick those today or tomorrow and have a really nice baked apples. Oh, there are even some last minute raspberries on those raspberry canes. Have to go and pick those. There shouldn't be any at all. So we've got 1, 2, 3 black currants in here. Yeah, not bad really. Quite happy with that. There's quite a lot that needs doing in this little section. It was absolutely covered in ground elder, so we seem to have beaten that anyway, which is good. So, I mean, the thick layers of cardboard and then huge amounts of stuff on top to kill it all off. This gives you another view of what used to be the huge bramble patch. You can see that's no longer the case. There's the odd one or two still picking up, so that's all right. A little black currant down there, that's self cedar. We'll see what happens, might move that later on. And a raspberry over here, obviously needs to be moved. And that's actually in flower, so by process of elimination, I think we can say that's an autumn raspberry. Okay. Prankster is looking intently at a plant over there. There's probably a mouse or something he's heard. Oh, all right. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I haven't seen anybody say anything. I see you've got 6 people watching at the moment. I hope you enjoyed that. And God willing, you'll see a bigger change later on in the year. I did mean to say that along here there'll be some more fruit trees, and all of that area there will be sort of like a permaculture area, which I think will suit the feeling of this garden. I want to be fairly relaxed outside this central bit here. Okay, so you've got we've got Gary, and Gary says what pinch my tent. Nicoletta, God bless you, Nicoletta. Don't know if anybody else has said anything. G has said good morning. Still looking forward to seeing you in church, G. You're always welcome, you know. Nicoletta's going to come and see. Yep, there's some apples here that Matthew's going to take round to the next door church. And I think we need to pick some of those yellow apples and take those over as well. Okay, right, your prayers. God bless you and keep you. And look at that, I've been rabbiting on for 25 minutes. Oh no, nearly 20 minutes. It's good to show I can speak about anything given half a chance. I'm not showing you the front garden, but that'll be for another time. You might wonder what those little cages are over there. They're for quails. We'll have to keep them indoors because I don't want to spend all the time registering them, which would be a nuisance. some more plants that need to go in here. My favourites are these loquats, which I planted last year, and they're ready to go out now. Some various other things are sort of hanging on, really. All of these little plants here, and they need to go out. They're really pretty primroses from my mother's garden. And here we've got, I think these are Chardonnay grapes, but I'm not certain. There's one lot of Chardonnay and one lot of Pinot Noir, which I think are these ones. All the Pinot Noir died quite suddenly, so they probably had some sort of bug in them. And then this is a bonsai given to me by Scott, which worries me no end, because it's always a worry to keep a bonsai going, especially when he told me it's 20 years old now. Gulp. Okay, there we are. There we have it. So I hope you have enjoyed that, and at any stage you want to come and see for yourself, you know you'll be very welcome. Your prayers. God bless you.